Hey, everybody, please make sure to go ahead and rate, review, and subscribe. Thanks. 63. Let's get to The Beekeeper, which came out in January of this year, now on demand. Directed by David Ayer, stars Jason Statham, Emmy Raver Lampman, Bobby Nadiri, Josh Hutcherson, Jeremy Irons, few others. And the synopsis is one man's brutal campaign for vengeance takes on national stakes after he is revealed to be a former operative of a powerful and clandestine organization known as Beekeepers. So I did do a David Ayer bonus show a while back covering most of his movies up until this point, which is now on Bandcamp at filmbuds.bandcamp.com. So check that out and our other bonus shows. And one thing I've talked about a lot on that show and then just in general is David Ayer, is quite inconsistent. I think there are great movies under his belt like End of Watch, Fury. I think even Suicide Squad is all right. But then he has atrociously bad movies like Tax Collector, which is his most recent one, or Bright. So I don't know or Sabotage is another one. So I don't know exactly what goes wrong with why his quality varies so much. But I'm still curious to see what he does because he is an auteur of sorts. I like the stories he picks, they're at least different most of the time. And when I heard about this one, I wasn't like, oh my God, I have to see that day one. I wasn't anything like that, but I was curious. I think the concept and title sort of intrigued me. I think Jason Statham, he's, I don't know if he's hit and miss. There are just times where I'm not really interested in what he's doing project wise. I think he's given some really enjoyable performances over the years in a variety of roles. I wish he would really steer more away from action and do more dramatic or comedic stuff because I think he does have some chops. Like he's not amazing, but I think he has a good presence, a good confidence and charisma that I feel like he can do a lot more than he lets on or that maybe his celebrity persona really allows in terms of what people want to see, I guess. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think he's pretty decent. And I was more curious about this one as opposed to some of his other recent ones, which are more franchise ones like Fast and Furious or other things. Like when they're the more one off movies, I think he does a little bit better. And overall, I liked it more than I think I thought I would. I don't think it's amazing, and it's not my favorite David Ayer movie, but one of the more enjoyable movies I've seen this year. I think the concept does feel very John Wicky at times, so I cannot excuse that necessarily. It definitely is inspired by things like John Wick, where there's this person coming out of retirement, something happens, and then he just takes on the world, and there are these weird clandestine organizations following the different hitmen and all that stuff. So there are things that are a little tired, but nevertheless, I think it's short and sweet. It's maybe an hour 45 minutes. I think Jason Statham is excellent in it. Josh Hutcherson, I don't love him in general, but I think he's good in this. And I do like the very steady rise in terms of the escalation of who all is involved. I won't spoil it, but who all is involved in this kind of conspiracy cover up organization that Jason Statham is trying to overthrow. But the call center like scam thing at the beginning, very well done and kind of scary, really, because it shows you, I think, a fairly realistic portrayal of how someone can get scammed through internet or on the phone. And so that part is very well done, and it's a good setup and a decent emotional weight in terms of the motivation for Statham. And when it comes to movies like this, there's a lot of kills, a really high body count, a lot of brawling, and lots of times it can be very repetitive, kind of bland. And so I was a little worried about how they would pull this off in terms of trying to be different. And I don't think the movie is really that different action wise, but what it sets out to do, it does quite well, I think. I think the action is very well choreographed. The camera work, the direction, the editing, cinematography, I think it is very fluid, very fun, pretty brutal at times. And so I was really always surprisingly engaged while the action was going on. There's a sequence on the bridge, which is excellent. The everything with the bees is fun, and there are a few bee puns in there, which is pretty funny, I think. And so it really glided along, and hooked me way more than I was thinking originally. And I feel like when it comes to action, man versus the world movies, you could do a lot worse. I think this is one that, of a lot of the ones that have come out over the last few years, aside from the John Wick films, is probably one of the better ones. Which, not a high bar, but still, I liked it a lot. And good score. The final sequence at the estate, I won't say anything more than that, is very good. So there's a lot of very well executed sleight of hand, misdirection, where you're suddenly thrown into this action sequence and it's really gruesome, but it's effective. And one thing I can at least appreciate as opposed to other franchises or action films like this is he is taking on people who are not good people. He's not just going out and killing random innocents. Like, these people are scamming the world, scamming people out of their retirement plans, out of charities. And so, like, at least his motivations, his drive is against bad people, which and I'm guessing most would find that much more compelling than similar characters or motivations in other movies. So that's another strong point. I'm glad David Ayer is back on track a little bit. Not a masterpiece, but I think he's at least going in the right direction after The Tax Collector. So check it out. That is a 3.5 out of 5.